Alright, so one last thing I wanted to show you all. I forgot to mention it in that last video, but there's another cool thing that I have going on here with this whole gaggle fuck. Is, um, I generally try not to use a lot of plugins, but I've been using a lot for this album, not because I have to, but because I want the album to have a certain sound. So basically, another cool thing a lot of people don't do, I know I haven't done in the past, is I have these three plugins loaded up, and each one of them does a different thing, okay? And what I like about it, in fact, I might have to adjust this one because I've been noticing that I've been having to do that a lot. But basically, what this does is I'm at the bass subtrack, and you might be thinking, well, if this is the bass subtrack and all the bass is going through here, why do you have the EQ pulled down so low around the 50 hertz range, which is usually the where the kick drum shines the most. Usually, the bass is around 80 hertz, the kick drum, its fundamental is around 50. So on the bass track, why would I have 50 pulled down here? Well, what ends up happening, and again, you're not going to hear anything. I'm sorry for that because I don't have my shit set up right now. But basically, if you look up here, you see this key and you see SC. Well, let me find it on here. Right here, I have this SC. It's like this is sort of the link. Anytime you see anything in here in the sends department, it's usually a link to something else. And so what happens is this track right here, or this bass sub, this EQ right here that's opened up, it's not really active on the bass track. It's now linked to the kick drum. So now every time the kick drum hits, trigger the sidechain right here, and it's gonna lower 50 hertz on the bass. And the settings were dependent on me, not on anything else. You might hear it on my headphones. I'll go over where the kick drum's at. So you can see right here, every time the kick hits, it lowers the bass just about 5 decibels. And I have a wide Q on this, meaning it's a wider, I can narrow it if I got a lot of processing. See, this is why eventually, once you're happy with the sound, you break everything off into stems and you process everything as is. You keep everything, but you just hide it and move it out of the way, and now you can have a stereo track, a drum stereo track, and a bass stereo track that's all been processed, and you don't have to deal with all this shit anymore. It's just getting it right the first time is the problem. But anyway, so yeah, so whenever I hit play, the kick drum gets lowered. And what it does, a lot of people like to use an overall compression to do this, but I like to use more of a surgical compression because it makes it so it doesn't really fuck with the bass tone that much. And you can't really notice the bass pumping if you use extreme settings, but it also still moves that EQ out of the way. So whenever that kick hits, it's the EQ in this range isn't there on the bass, which allows room for the kick to come through. The same thing applies on this one up here. I added this because there was a lot of this about this weird frequency that was strangely enough right here, and so every time that frequency range exceeds a certain threshold, it just lowers it. So that way, because when you listen to music and you listen to audio, it's not just about the audio becoming loud. That's one thing people struggle with, but it's also about what part of the EQ gets too loud. Because you might have an even audio track all the way across the board because you did automation, and volume-wise it might sound the same, but you'll start to notice that certain frequencies peak out at you. And so now you have to tame those certain frequencies in addition to taming the audio, if that makes sense. For right here, this EQ I have it set up so for whenever the toms hit, it does the same thing. If it gets too boomy in a certain area with toms, I move, again, this is all still on the bass track, I lower the bass EQ a little bit so the toms can shine through a little bit more. So it's called it's basically sidechain, and you can see right the tom sidechain set up here. So it's just sidechain compression is all it is. But yeah, that was the other thing that I didn't cover in that last video.